Shripal Gandhi is back with the Shripal Gandhi Show. And today we have a very young, bubbly guest with us. Uh, all of you living in Baroda, I do not think would need an introduction. But nevertheless, since we are looking at audiences across India, I will still give a very brief introduction about her. Her name is Garima Vyas, and she is a psychologist and a para swimmer. She is a holder of multiple national level records in para swimming, and we have her with us today. Garima, now that we have you online with us, actually, I would not really be the right person to introduce you. Would you actually want to take it up and introduce yourself?
Well, yes, the things that you have said are good, accurate. I would say, कि along with a psychologist and a para swimmer, I'm also a reading enthusiast. I am also an art lover, and I like to explore new activities with every chance that I get. Um, most of my days go very busy because it's like I have to give a lot of time in swimming training and physiotherapy and rehab exercises for my spinal cord injury. So I need to do a lot of time management if I want to accommodate the things that I like, and that's what I do. So I guess that makes me someone who just wants to do what she loves all the time as much as possible.
Right. Now, along with you, Garima, at this moment, we have your parents also, Dhananjay and Kejal. We have known each other for a while now. It's been 7 years now. And through Dhananjay's and my frequent interaction during our networking meetings, that is when I found out about what exactly transpired. But today, when I look at Garima, I am proud at a very different level. I mean, I take a pride in the fact that I know her and I know her strong nature. But I am sure without the parents backing, this is actually not possible, to be very honest. So, Kejal, I would want you to give a very brief insight into the pride that you take in her today and where she is and where she can possibly go. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. Please.
So, yeah, thank you, Shipal, and hello, everybody. Yes, we are very proud of Garima for the way she has been raised, the way she has, used all her talent, and how she has taken her injury, and uh, how hard work she has done to reach where she is. She already mentioned that she is fond of a lot of activities and keeps trying new things, and how she is finding time among her busy schedule for all the activities that she wants to do is really amazing. I can say that we have in the beginning taught these things to her as parents, but how she has taken it up and how she has implemented those things in her life, because knowing is different and implementing using that knowledge in practice is again a different thing. So how she has implemented her knowledge, her learnings into her life, that has brought difference in what she is today, is something I personally am very proud of.
That is great. And Dhananjay, again, you're also on mute if you can unmute yourself. Uh, I would also like to hear from you because I am also a father to a daughter. And while it may be tough during the initial phase, as a father, it is a matter of immense pride. And I know where this comes from also. Uh, how do you see her today and how she's taken charge of her life? And I am sure, I know for a matter of fact that she is actually inspiring a lot of people out there. So I would also like to hear from you about this.
Okay, thank you, Shripad. Wonderful speaking with you again. Yes, indeed, Garima has been a precocious child right from her childhood, and she's very curious. She has always been very curious, trying to understand a lot of things. She has her own perspective, but she also tries to understand
Hmm.
people's perspective. She puts herself in people's shoes, and so very mature right from her Uh, what I've seen is initially, if I go back to when she had this injury, I think it was something we did not know the level or the extent that it will change our life. But she has taken it in her stride. That is especially what I am proud of. And as she grows, it hasn't got to her head success or achievement. She has done very well academically as well. In her 10th standard, she topped in her 12th as well. She has been very good in her studies throughout. And also, she writes blogs. So whatever she does, she puts her heart in, pours her heart in it, and she does it very well. And she's mature enough to take it in her stride.
Correct, correct. Garima, I really want to know one thing from you at this point is, uh, out of the several activities that you could possibly have considered, and I'm sure you must have, what really appealed about swimming? What was it?
Well, I've always liked swimming water since I was a baby. And like I learned swimming very early on thanks to Papa and Mama. We used to go to the, government pools here as, just as part of a family activity, weekends where something like that. And I used to play games with Papa, and I have very
Right,
fond memories with water. Treks and all of these games and everything. And after the accident, I think somebody recommended to me that I should restart swimming because it would be good for my body. And so I started,
correct,
slowly started. The first effort was towards me understanding how to handle my body with just my upper half in the water. Because
right.
now it was like my legs could no longer kick in the water, so it was hard to stay afloat. I learned that, and then I started doing some aqua exercises, and then as part of, like I said, health and recovery from the spinal cord injury. Eventually, I showed some interest in learning the different swimming styles more properly, and then someone suggested that I should start competing since I have the energy and I might just be able to do quite well. So then I signed up for the nationals. I signed up for Khel Mahakumbh, and I went there once each during the same year, and I had this wonderful experience with them that there's so much you can do when you have a disability as well that people don't really know about because they can't imagine living a normal life if they had a disability. So
Very true.
I was now experiencing this newfound freedom where I was in the water and my condition had not changed, but I did not really need the wheelchair to move around at all. So
Okay.
this freedom, it really, it makes me feel very happy and very at peace. Water has that quality anyway. So yeah, that happiness I think pushed me towards considering swimming as something that I want to be attached to for a long time.
No, I am also interested in the word you used. You said disability. I mean,
Yes.
looking at you, disability is actually not a disability. You
Yeah.
know, it all depends
Huh.
on how you would want to take it and how are
Correct.
you going to divert yourself and your energy and your mind
Yes.
towards some activity. It is not always necessary to
Hmm.
always excel at it, but at the same time, how do you become self-sufficient and self-sustaining over a period of time?
Right.
That is
Yes.
really important. This was one of the
Yes.
reasons I
True.
really wanted to have a conversation with you, that
Hmm.
disability need not be a disability.
Agreed. And you know what
Very
makes it
well
a
be a,
disability? Honestly, the biggest thing that makes it a disability, the label is actually more about the things that we face in the outside world and not related to our bodies. Like the human body is capable of, a wide number of things. If I don't have legs, it's fine. Humans have created wheelchairs and I'm still moving around. So So the issue is
Correct.
not inside me anymore. The issue is with the outside world. There are staircases that I can't climb with the wheelchair. There are lifts, but then they are not wide enough, or they don't function half the time. So a lot of things are based in the infrastructure, lack of infrastructure sometimes, or the inadequacy of infrastructure, even if it is there. And then at other times there is this whole viewpoint that people have, that they don't expect people who have disabilities to do things at all. So if I go out in the mall,
Mhm.
there's always every single person that I cross, almost every single person that I cross will take a look, stare, and then I have to ignore them, or else I will be mentally disturbed, because they are so surprised that there is someone in a wheelchair that is so young, which is another factor, and who is out here
Yeah.
trying to enjoy herself. So it's less about it, being an issue in my own head, or persons with disabilities. We never think about things like that. Is this normal? Should I be doing it or not? It's not like that. It's the people
True.
sometimes who make it difficult. And I guess it's again more of an issue about ignorance or stereotypes rather than an actual issue. Most people, they are just curious. So
That's a
I
very
guess
important point.
if they
Yes.
just came up and asked a few questions, right? If they just came up, asked a few questions, started a conversation, I would be more than happy to tell them about my condition, or what I'm doing here, whatever. That would be fun. That I have had such conversations with kids. People should sometimes, adults should learn from kids how to have these conversations. It's really
Now, when you
interesting.
say adults should learn from this, Kejal, uh, uh, as a parent, what was your role and how did you take it in? It must have been really difficult to take this in your stride, as we say. But how did you prepare yourself for this and not only mold Garima in a way, but also to mold yourself, your thought process, and always to be strong about things and take it positively and look at life positively ahead. Because it's not only about uh, Garima, it is also about the entire family today. You're in mute again.
I have already. Am I
Yeah,
audible now?
yeah.
Right.
Yes,
So,
you are. Yeah.
yes, you are correct. It was challenging because this was something we haven't heard of before, Garima's injury. So, luckily, her doctor explained us everything that she will face, everything that we as families will face, and that I had registered in my mind that I am not going to let anything negative happen to her or to our family. So consciously we paid attention to all the risks that she might have because of her injury and her condition. So there was continuous care even today. Like there are repetitive things that we keep doing to prevent certain damages to her body. Uh, Apart from the physical condition management, what I learned when we went out for the first time was that there is a bigger challenge on a emotional. So,
Okay.
face people, as she mentioned, people will stare at her. Now, first time
Right.
we took
That's
her
right.
to a mall because we had to like literally search the whole Vadodara where we can take her as a wheelchair user because for us it was for the
Right.
first time. Um, for her, it was for the first time, so we could find a mall. Malls are like thankfully accessible, so we went to a mall and we, everybody was staring at her. And she was such cute little girl, just 14 years old, and like she got ready so nicely because she was going out for the first time, and she has her catheter attached to her body. Her legs had some support system attached to them. So because it was very initial stage of her injury, where all those
Right.
equipments were required to keep her body in a good stage. So, like, well, everybody was like staring at her. She was also not ready to, like, the way she said, I have to ignore. That time
Hmm.
we were not
Hmm.
aware how to handle that. So she was like, Mama, look, everybody is staring at me. And suddenly I don't know how it came to my mind that, okay, when a queen goes or a princess goes, people stare at her. Consider yourself a princess and ignore everybody else. So that was for the first time when I realized that the challenge is more on the outside world than
Right.
within our family. So we all together, like we kept discussing within ourselves that how we will handle this kind of situations, how we will deal with people. What if somebody says negative? What if somebody acts negative? What if we don't
Correct.
get required support? What if somebody like doesn't do what they are supposed to do? Wrong parkings, no creation of facilities where they are bound to do it. Some legal rights, and we can't
Correct.
say it is
Yeah.
our legal right. So there were so many
Correct.
issues. I kept on fighting with the security guards for parking near the entry gate because I can't leave Garima alone. We have seen dogs roaming around her.
Of course.
So many challenges which people won't be able to realize even if they don't experience them. Not to blame them because this is beyond anybody's understanding. We could understand because we went through them.
Right.
So, as
Right.
Garima said, if somebody asks her um, about what has happened, आप ऐसे ये कैसे करते हो, how do you manage things, she would respond. If somebody goes on
Right.
an advisory level, बेटा अच्छा ठीक हो जाएगा ये वो, that is like something nobody would like, especially when they are in a condition like Garima, because they know themselves more than anybody else, and they are trying their best to get well or keep going. So as she rightly mentioned, we need to learn how to talk, what to ask, how to talk with them, how to deal with them. There are few friends who actually had asked us that we want to come and meet Garima. How should we talk with her? Like they had that dilemma. And they were not able to consider her as a normal human being. To see
Oh,
beyond her wheelchair. There is no need to focus on her wheelchair. Even Garima would
true.
mention that wheelchair user is not her identity. A psychologist, a kind human being, a strong human being, a para swimmer, that is her identity. She would also want to be identified like that. So, yes, we have gone through a lot, we have trained ourselves a lot, we have experienced a lot, and luckily things have gone well with us.
In fact, I would also want to mention over here that I met up Dhananjay at one of the meetings at that time that we generally go to. And while he was talking to somebody else, that is when I understood that, okay, there's something that has happened. And when I spoke to him separately, he told me about all that had transpired. And there was evidently quite a time that had gone between what had happened and when I asked him about it. And it was during that entire time, not for once did I realize what was going on. He did not skip any of the meetings. During all these meetings, he was cheerful, smiling throughout the meetings. He was handling the work as a routine. So it takes a lot of internal uh, strength and mental toughness to really present yourself outside, live life very normally, and yet battle all these things internally, physically and mentally. And as you actually said, the emotional strife is more as compared to the strife outside. Now, the other important point that you also made was when we go to the malls, you had to really find a mall where you could actually take her, which could be uh, disabled friendly, for the lack of a better word. So from that, I understand there is barely any awareness about this in people out there. People are not really sensitized about this, regardless of the person's age. Okay, so how did you have obviously faced it, but how did you actually kind of address this issue not only with people who want to come and meet Garima or your family members or your relatives, but to a larger scale outside? When, in case,
We
for
have
example, you had to go for any kind of government work, hypothetically. So how did you actually take this up?
Okay, so what we have decided now, Shripal, is that what is important is what we want to do. So if she has to attend a class, say upstairs, and there is one floor to be climbed, there is no lift, there is no ramp. What we consider is that we ask somebody to support us. Like on the one hand, I will take care of the wheelchair. On front, I will request somebody to give us a support, and we will climb the whole
Hmm.
floor. So we always consider the target, what we want to do. For want of
Okay.
infrastructure, let us. three of us, or especially Garima, not compromise on her goal, because it became difficult when we were like
Correct.
focusing on the challenges. So instead, we started focusing on our goals. So
Right.
otherwise, it is always like any person with disability will not be able to go out of their home and work anything or do anything
True.
or go anywhere. So if she wants to go to a cafe, we would, and a friend wants to go with her, we would request once that let us find an accessible cafe,
Right.
something that is on the ground floor, something if it's on the first floor, there is a lift. So
Correct.
that way. And if the place is more important, for example, they want to go to a particular place, something new that they want to explore and they desperately want to go. So then we will like find out, okay, what are the challenges? How many people will be needed to reach there? Do we need more than one person's support? If one, even I and Garima would go. If more than one and somebody more comfortable is required, maybe Dhananjay would take an off from his office and would
Okay.
join us. Otherwise, we would request whoever is there available there, and we would ask them to support the way we want to. You know, hold it from here, lift it from here, something like that. So that is how. Only the goal target is decided. Rest we learn to manage. We try to manage, and we request wherever we go. No, we request that person, their organization, that it is recommended. It would be better if you can create a ramp in your premises. It
Ah,
will be better for your visitors to have an accessible premise. Some people do, some
correct.
people don't. But if even 1% does that, our effort will be fruitful. It will be worth that effort.
That's really nice. And in fact, Dhananjay, I want to know from you, what was the secret behind keeping yourself so cool during that period? Every time we met up at the meetings, I mean, it was a time when I think you were going through a lot, and I had a lot of things going on at my side also. The turbulence was there, but then I never ever realized you were going through that kind of turbulence. How did you manage to keep yourself so cool at that time?
Yeah, Shipal. So it is always that some situation, and as a family, what we have. This is our philosophy that whatever has happened. You are not going to be able to change it. So there is no point in going back and saying that okay, if this had happened, then this would not have happened. So one thing is
Right.
whatever has happened has happened. You just look in front of you towards the future. Second thing is, in the future you could think of what worse could happen, and you could think of
Right.
what best could happen, right? So
Ah,
rather than thinking about what worse can happen, think about what best can happen.
correct.
One thing I remember is, I don't remember the player's name, but there was this basketball star in the US, and he was afflicted with cancer, and then he was just cool. He couldn't play, but he went and to watch a match, and somebody asked him that aren't you sad that this has happened to you? So he said that when I went from victory to victory, I did not ask why this happened to me. So then I don't have a right to
Correct.
ask why this. So that is, I think that's what we have imbibed in our life, and we try to look at the brighter side of future, and hope that hope and pray that she gets better and better, and obviously she is going to have a wonderful future.
We all wish that. And something that really struck me is, usually people say that uh, a family that eats together stays together. But then in this case, you are always together. So I would look at this cohesion between the three of you as a very, very strong bond, a very strong foundation based on which all three of you have stayed really strong, stoic, and faced all the challenges head on. I mean, talk about taking the bull by the horns. People usually run in front of the bull. You've taken the bull by the horns. That's a trait that I guess all of us would want to acquire. Uh, Also, this interesting analogy that Dhananjay Das gave about the basketball star, there's something similar about one of the tennis legends back in the day, Arthur Ashe. Uh, he was diagnosed with cancer, and one of his fans asked him that why. why are you the one who's a victim? Why did you get such a terrible disease? And that's when Arthur Ashe said, I don't say that. I don't look at it that way. I never say, why me? I say, try me. So that is one way of looking at it and how you face such a challenge head on. Uh, Also, Karima, coming back to you, we have met on a couple of occasions ever since 2017, 18. I guess we met in 18 or 19. And I know for a
Maybe,
matter
I
of
don't
fact that you
exactly
are a very
remember.
good,
Yes.
yeah, it was around that time. And I know for a matter of fact that not only are you an amazing writer, but at the same time, you enjoy singing.
Yes, I do.
So, and looking at the vibrant background that you have, the photographs, etc. Uh, so, what else? What are the other hobbies, and how do you keep yourself occupied? I also understand that uh, you are a
Ah,
psychologist. So, is what
yes.
is it that made you lean towards psychology?
Well, wait, which part should I talk about first? The hobbies or the psychology?
Entirely your call. Feel free. Feel just take it as a kind of conversation. Feel free.
Right, okay. So if I talk about, the hobbies that I have, they are like pretty widespread. They range from like traveling outside to different cities and, going to museums and, I don't know, art workshops, galleries, cafes with my family, friends here in the same city, to doing things on my own. Like recently, I've been crocheting. Before that, I have even made a lot
Oh,
of like posters, maybe this big posters for my room, my wall. And those are little reminders that I have for myself. Maybe lyrics from a song or lines from a book or dialogues from a movie, whatever. Whatever resonates with me, I put it on my wall. That is another thing that I've been doing. I read a lot, and mostly it is fiction and adventure and things like that. Sometimes even crime thrillers, because who doesn't want the rush? But the main thing there in my hobbies is to constantly, challenge my brain. And you know how they say brains that exercise more, muscles that exercise more, stay stronger for longer. They don't age very easily. So,
right.
it's a good thing to keep my brain, getting that exercise right in right now from quite young. So, it helps me de-age.
You,
That is not the main point, but you
that's.
mean, yeah.
I really like the way you're looking
It
at it
helps. It
and
is
the way
fun.
you're
I've always
actually
been very
picking it up.
enthusiastic about trying out new things. So, thank you. Um, yeah, so it's like I explore within various facets within the same activity as well. And it just really helps keeping the, novelty seeker in me happy. So that is there. And just like that, when I was actually in my 10th standard, when I was choosing 11th and 12th, the part where I talk about psychology now. So
Huh.
I wanted to be a lawyer when I was in my 10th standard. I wanted to make things right and make sure that, people are following the law properly and the criminals get punished and, everybody gets justice, things like that, which is a very good ideal. But then I realized that I don't actually want to argue and stuff. It takes a lot of argument. It takes a lot of mental energy if you want to be a lawyer. You have to be like,
True.
I am right and you have to believe me. So that is something, like, I don't want to argue with people about that. If I'm right, you want to accept it, okay. Otherwise, I'm sorry, bye. So then I eventually changed my mind, and then in 11th and 12th I studied psychology as part of my school syllabus. And I thought that this is very interesting, and this is not at all like people say, mind reading and guess कर लेना कि अब मैं तो यही करूंगी, can you guess इसके बाद तो things like that कि understanding someone properly, that entire phrase just completely the meaning changed. And that is something Then I thought, okay, this is really interesting. I can actually read people's behavior patterns, and that actually makes sense, much more sense than
Right.
mind reading, actually. So, then in my board exams, I did very well. And then when it was time for me to go to college, apply for, courses, then it sort of became an obvious choice that now I'll go in psychology. Uske baad kya karna hai, we'll see. I have 2 more years to decide my specialization, in psychology. So then we'll see what happens. And then, I went with it and it became more and more interesting. I became, what do you say? I got introduced to a lot of other subfields in psychology, and then I found clinical psychology and counseling psychology, and both of them were very interesting. And then, well, people then recommended to me, okay, clinical lele, in case you want to shift to counseling, it will be a little bit easier for you compared to going from counseling to clinical. Because if you look at the intensity of the issues that people face, that like clients that you get as a clinical psychologist and the clients that you get as a counseling psychologist, it is it is different,
Right.
in the sense someone would go to a physician and someone would go to a specialist doctor, right? So
Correct.
that is how the difference goes. So then eventually, with experience, I realized that yeah, maybe I do like counseling psychology more. But then I had already started with clinical, so maybe who knows, someday in the future I'll have another master's degree in counseling psychology. So
We
yeah,
look
the
forward
doors
to
are
that
wide
actually.
open, and we even there, I'm not going to stop exploring anytime soon. I don't see myself stopping exploring anytime
That's
soon. So
that's
that's
really a important one. One thing my takeaway from this would be, live in the moment. That's number one. The second
absolutely.
thing is take things as they come.
Hmm.
Play things by the ear, as they say. So
True.
why really bother yourself about tomorrow at this very moment? When we get there, we'll build a bridge when we get
Exactly.
to it. One of the things is that's a very important trait. Otherwise, as a lot of people say
Exactly.
that thinking about the past, we are
Yeah.
ruining the future. But for this, occasionally we also think about the future. We are overthinking, and we actually ruin the present also.
Hmm.
So
And
just take things as they come. Be very good.
the nicest part of this is that this philosophy is sort of the center stone of mindfulness, and we hear from a lot of, you know, I don't know, quack therapists, quack psychologists that, you have to live in the moment all the time. You don't have an option. Why would you stress yourself out so much? But then thoda sa stress is good for you. You like, it's like you have a plan in mind and you have set deadlines for yourself. Imagine if you never had any stress for that. Your deadline would just be lying in the corner in the dustbin or something, and you're just like, yes, I'm so mindful, I'm so present, but that
Actually,
is not leading you anywhere. You know what I mean? So so yeah, it is very important to live in the moment while also keeping your goals and what you want in life in mind. So I think it's a balance. And as far as things that I want in life, I think I have been finding that balance, and the balance is new every time I go back to analyzing what is going on in my life. So
so that means you actually do a lot of
that is
writing.
fun. It is a good interesting ride so far.
I'm glad you put it that
Yeah.
way. That is actually a perspective many of us need to learn, to be very honest. I had a friend back in Mumbai again, so he had a very interesting way of saying this. He would say, my life is a roller coaster ride. I mean, he had a minor speech impairment. I mean, that's
Okay.
okay. And, somehow that is something that kind of grew on me also. I also started saying the same thing. I would never
Hmm.
say roller coaster ride, but I would say roller coaster ride. But I mean, these are the tiny things that you can kind of pick up along the way, and they stay with you for a very long time.
Hmm.
It was more about the message than about the way he said it. So that is, I
Correct.
think that
Yes.
that is a
Agreed.
takeaway from him. Uh, this is okay. Yes. When I met you the last time, I distinctly remember you singing a song over there. It was a karaoke that we had. So can we have an
Hmm.
encore of that at the moment? We can.
Oh,
We can.
nice. I think yes, we can. Just a minute. I need to do some push-ups first.
Sure, 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 sure,
Ah,
sure.
yeah. This is for relieving my back pain mostly because I sit a lot and because I don't have sensation in my lower body. Then those
Right.
micro movements that people usually make when they're sitting, I don't get them naturally. So I have to,
Right. You have to.
put an effort to move every few minutes. So yeah, okay.
That is good. You have imbibed it as a part of your daily routine more than anything else. That
Yes,
is a good way to
yes.
look at it also. So yes, we want an encore.
So yes, the song.
Yeah.
It is called Love Yo Zindagi from the movie Dear Zindagi. I do not remember the year. Please look it up. Uh, जो दिल से लगे उसे कह दो हाय 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 जो दिल ना लगे उसे कह दो बाय 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 आने दो दिल में आ जाने दो कह दो मुस्कुराहट को हाय 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 जाने दो दिल से चले जाने दो कह दो घबराहट को बाय 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 लव यू जिंदगी लव यू जिंदगी Love you zindagi Love me zindagi
That is fantastic. It was a swing song. Now, I
Thank
actually
you.
had forgotten the song that you sang that day. But yes, this
Yeah.
was a song I will remember. So do we actually we want to see you on Indian Idol? Any thoughts on that? And I say
A
why not
sweet.
actually?
That's a very sweet thought, and I used to take singing lessons also when I was younger.
Oh,
I
okay.
actually stopped when my college started. Like even during my college, when we had that online classes going on during the pandemic, I
Huh.
restarted it. But then, I got a lot of things to do in college, assignments and exams and all of this. So then I could not continue.
There's always time now, I guess.
I think I did go into some sort of singing competitions. Yeah.
Okay. There's always time now. We want to see you back there
I didn't.
with the singing.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. It takes so much, like, it needs a sort of commitment, when you go to competitions for anything, singing, swimming, other sports, other activities. It always takes a certain level of preparedness. And right now, I think just at the moment, I have been giving my energy everywhere. Like, yeah, swimming is taking a lot of energy. Rehab
True.
exercises, though, have to be a given. And my job in the field of psychology has also been taking a lot of time. But who knows, maybe in the future when I will have retired from swimming, maybe I'll give singing another shot. Who knows, right? Life can go anywhere.
Absolutely, absolutely. I do understand. Uh, okay, so question to all three of you jointly: Do what is the message that you really want to pass on to the people out there who are actually going to view this podcast, the entire episode, and what are the bigger changes that you want to see around you, where you stay in the city, in state, at the national level? What is the message that you want to give to the people out there?
So many things, actually, that
In
could
your
be an
eyes,
entire podcast in itself.
we can
But
do one
I
more later.
think,
That's it.
yeah, well, why not? Honestly, one of the things that I would like everyone to, know is keep most of the people with disabilities that you see around you, they are really, if you're curious about them, just go ahead and ask. is really, it's just, the beginning of a beautiful conversation. They get to talk about their condition. You get to not assume things but learn something new.
Correct.
And you might just help three or four other people in the future, with the same condition, simply by knowing something from one. you know
Very true.
and another is family support is something that I've seen is a blessing. And it is a blessing that a lot of people forget how to take advantage of in the positive way, how to use
Hmm.
it in the best way possible, the most heartwarming way possible. And it's like while growing up, we sort of forget that we don't have to do it all on our own. We have a family for a reason. And it is important that we maintain a relationship. We make sure that it stays healthy, so that in the future, if any of us needs anything, I mean, what is more
Hmm.
wonderful than having each other and like knowing ki if anybody is in trouble, we'll be right there to help them, and they'll be right there to help us. So that is there.
Yes. Kejal, you, what would you have to say? The message.
Uh, I would first thing agree with Garima that family bonding, family tuning comfort is the foremost thing for any family to go further in life. Next thing that I have seen troubling us the most, and like to be very practical, I would want to see a change in infrastructure in the society,
Right.
have accessibility at maximum places where there are laws, just implement them, just work on them. Not only government has a responsibility, but we as citizens also have the responsibility to follow, the law that is already there.
Hmm.
So where there is a law, where there is a legal right, and we have to request, and still we don't get things, it is really really very painful. People who have
Great.
experienced this will agree with me dearly. One more thing is be emotionally, attached to people with disability. Like most of the people, I would share one experience here that one day we were going somewhere. We were in a car, and the parking was little far. So our driver told the security guard that we have a wheelchair user in the car. So please let us go little more further to the entrance gate, near the entrance gate. And that
Right.
person said, "ये तो स्वस्थ है, हाँ? ये तो स्वस्थ है." So please understand that a wheelchair user or a person with disability is in a condition which is a physical condition. They are not patients. Please
Yes.
understand this difference. They are people
Correct.
who have some physical disability, so they can do some physical activities. Doesn't mean they are sick.
True.
They are in a physical condition. This basic difference needs to be understood by people, by all of us. Since we are experiencing this, we have gone through it and we have understood this. And now I consider this as an opportunity to spread this word among all the viewers through your channel to bring some awareness about this basic thing, because it's not good when we hear that for our daughter. It's emotionally really trolling, and it takes some moments even for us, though we are all very strong. It takes moments for us also to get that out of our mind. So
I understand.
yeah, so this one point that I want to share with you, and always have a positive approach, solution based approach to every challenge in your life. That will always take you further, that will always take you where you want to go, and to decide new goals in life. Thank
That's a very important point that you made there. And Dhananjay, we want to hear from you as well.
Thank you. Two things I just wanted to share.
Screen is
One is,
frozen, I guess. Huh.
hello. Yeah, can you hear
Yes,
me
yes, yes.
now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
sorry.
fine. Yeah.
So I just wanted to share two things. One is, all of us are in a sort of race. There is, we all understand that, there is, life has a limit and we want to achieve the most. We want to reach there So, I would just like to say that rather than, focusing on the goal, focus on the journey.
Very good.
Enjoy the journey as it goes.
That is Dhananjay's favorite. He would always say this. He would always say, and he would ensure that we always enjoy the journey. He would ensure that we always enjoy the journey.
These are very
And
interesting things that even I learned from you all.
yeah, thank you. And the second thing is, empathy. So, reach out to people, talk to them, do small things, open a door, whatever small thing that you smile at them and bring a smile to people. We'll all make the world a
Very
better
true.
place.
Very, very, very true there. I really like the points that all three of you have made here. One is Garima saying, walk up to somebody you feel and just speak to them rather than stare at them. That is a very, very good thing. It could very well be the beginning of a new friendship, a new relation. You never know. And Kejal here saying that, sensitization is the need of the hour. Uh, we have often seen various other forms of disabilities which are considered a taboo uh, in most of the people around here. It is considered as a stigma when people talk about it. It does not have to be that way. And yes, nobody, Garima is not ill, as you rightly said, she's not a patient. This is a condition that she has. A massive difference between a patient and a person having a certain condition. It is time we really realized this and moved on. And just to really sum it up, I have one small stanza from a very inspiring poem written by William Ernest Henley. The name of the poem itself is what I would say is very apt for Garima. The name of the poem is Invictus, Invictus, which actually means the unconquerable. So that word actually defines Garima and Garima's outlook. And I'll just read a small stanza, the last one. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. This is by William Ernest Henley, and it is one of the best poems I have read, one of the poems which inspires me a lot even today. So I would like to leave all of you with that today, with those four lines. And in fact, if you have the time, do Google that poem, Invictus, and read it. It will surely inspire all of you. Right? Thank you all for being on this show.
Thank you, Shripal,
And
for
Garima,
Thank you
we
so
hope to
much.
have one more encore. Thank you.
I hope so
Guys.
too. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.